All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN is reporting that Dan Lanning, head coach of the Oregon Ducks, is starting to draw NFL head coaching interest. And I mean, it's easy to see why. Oregon is, of course, undefeated, 11-0. They're the number one ranked team in the country. They were absolutely fantastic last season. He won a national championship with the Georgia Bulldogs. You look at recruiting, Dan Lanning, of course, is killing it in that regard as well. I believe the last two classes, so 2023 and 2024, both top 10. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I believe in 2024, it was actually a top 5 recruiting class, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, we take a look at 2025, this year's recruiting class, and yet again in the top 10. We look at what Dan Lanning has been able to accomplish in the portal as well. I mean, the Oregon Ducks seriously feel like an SEC program out on the West Coast. That's the vibe around the Oregon Ducks. And if you watch the Oregon Ducks play, of course, on Saturdays, but if you listen to press conferences, if you talk to Ducks insiders, this team is very, it's ran like a professional organization. High standard with Oregon. Dan Lanning is a fantastic leader, fantastic motivator. We could also factor in what he's done with the quarterback position. We all know about what Bo Nix did, but I mean, even Dylan Gabriel this season, I mean, he's going to be in the Heisman conversation. And, of course, right, we're talking about the Oregon Ducks and Dan Lanning here. So there's always that plan for the future. And we take a look at who's next in line after Dylan Gabriel. It's Dante Moore, former 5-star beast out of high school, commits to UCLA. Chip Kelly gets the nod, the starting nod as a true freshman, and ends up, battling some adversity and commits to Oregon, understanding and knowing he's going to be the backup, and wanted to put himself in a position to have success for the long term. Dan Lanning's teams are physical. They are tough, not only just physically, but mentally. There's just too many good things to say about Dan Lanning, and he's only 38 years old, which is crazy. He's really positioned himself to be able to land really any job at the collegiate level he wants. I mean, there was a lot of buzz surrounding Dan Lanning at the, for the Alabama job a year ago, and he's stuck with the Ducks. And I think that move in and of itself was telling. If in my heart of hearts, if I had to say, I don't think Dan Lanning is leaving. I just don't. I think he loves Eugene. He loves the program. He loves what he's built up there. I mean, they're just rolling in the Big Ten. First year with Oregon in the Big Ten, rolling, undefeated, not looking back. But of course, you can always push back. You don't know what guys, internal motivations are. If, let's just say, Oregon goes on to win the Big Ten, they win the national championship. Could Dan Lanning look for the next test in the NFL? I mean, we can all talk about Nick Saban, right? Nick Saban leaving LSU, going to the Miami Dolphins. We've seen these successful college coaches jump from college to the NFL. We could talk about Matt Rhule going from Baylor to the Carolina Panthers a couple of years ago. But man, even with that said, I just have a very difficult time seeing Dan Lanning actually leaving Oregon. But I'll say this, if I'm Woody Johnson, if I'm Chris Johnson, I'm picking up the phone and I'm getting in contact. There's nothing wrong with seeing what's out there. Nothing wrong with seeing, hey, is there anything on the table? Is there any percentage? Is there any chance that we can maybe sit down and talk about a potential, future pairing here? There's nothing wrong with calling and inquiring. I would actually prefer it if the Jets ownership, they're proactive in their approach and they're not just waiting around. We can talk about all these different head coaching candidates that are currently out on the open market. I mean, I love a lot of these guys on current teams. I would say my personal favorites, my personal top choices outside of Mike Vrabel are all with NFL teams. In other words, you can't just talk to them this week or next week. You have to literally wait until the end of the season, request an interview, then talk to them. And also, too, if we think about this, the Jets have got to figure out the GM position as well. So, instead of waiting literal months to get ahead of to start this head coaching search, get ahead of it now, right? Sit down, talk to, reach out to all these guys that you think could be potential fits, even if it's unlikely, even if there's like that internal belief, like, you know what, I just don't know. I don't really think it could work out. I mean, maybe, but probably not. It doesn't matter. Give them a call. I'm talking about literally anyone that does not, that's currently not employed by the NFL right now. So, there's a lot of Jets fans that have been pushing for Rex Ryan. There's a lot of Jets fans that are pushing for John Gruden. There are names out there that the Jets can, simply go out and talk to. And lastly, I do want to end off with this, right? I understand that times are dark right now. I mean, we're coming off just another humiliating loss against the Indianapolis Colts here, 27-28. There's GM questions. There are player personnel questions. Obviously, there's head coaching questions. There's ownership questions. What's going on with the Woody Chris thing? But as far as just the head coaching position is concerned, there are so many options. So many options out there. And I feel as I was talking to my brother about this the other day, yesterday actually, if you're a team out there that needs a head coach, Saints, again, Jets, we'll see what happens with Dallas, maybe Chicago. Although, Chicago, I felt as though did enough to win that game against Green Bay, but I digress. This is the year to need a head coach. This is the year. There are a ton of names out there that simply make sense. You can make arguments for, I want to say at least 10 guys. At least 10 guys. So I don't want to go through the whole coaching list now. At the end of this video, I want to do a whole separate video on it. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section about the head coaching position. We're going to be talking a lot about the position moving forward. Again, the Jets are 3-8, and there's really no time to waste here. I would rather the Jets get in front of it and try to establish, a solid list of candidates so who to interview and really get the guys that you want to bring in first and foremost. And also, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say down below in the comment section. Which coaches are you leaning towards? The Ben Johnsons, the Aaron Glenns, the Mike Vrabels, the Brian Flores, the Cliff Kingsbury. There's so many of them, right? So many options. So let me know your thoughts down below in the Dan Lannings, right? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. And as always, go Jets.